So I started doing that thing that I felt rumbling in my soul, and I keep calling it that thing because listen, back in 1993, there was no such thing as a coach. So I didn't know what to call this thing, but yet what I did was I started working with African American teenage girls at my church. Matter of fact, that night, I marched my little 23-year-old self up to the minister of youth at my church, and I said to him, and I quote, "How come there's no programs here for teenage girls?" And he said, "Why don't you start one?" And I thought to myself, listen, brother, I'm trying to help you do your job. I'm not trying to create one for me. But that night I went home and I thought about what he said to me. I thought about how I was feeling in my spirit. And so to make a really long story short, I started a program at my church working with African American teenage girls. It was self-esteem and really was college prep, but I didn't call it that. I called it more purpose prep. And really helping them figure out and navigate what would be next after high school. That one chapter in my church became a second chapter in another church. And over time, over 20 years to be exact, I had 10 chapters in 10 cities throughout the country, and we were growing by leaps and bounds. Oh, and by the way, it became a nonprofit, forgot to tell you that little piece. So I love this work so much, and I was doing it alongside my 9 to 5 that I wanted to do it full time. So I thought, let me start trying to figure out how can I find a job doing this thing. Now listen, I did this as a volunteer. So I had written infrastructure. I had trained mentors to coach my girls. I had written every single workshop that we done. But writing that on your resume as a volunteer, yeah, nobody cared. But I want you to get this. So every job I've ever applied to, I've always got an interview. And let me tell you, I'm sure you can tell I got a little bit of personality, so I always get the job usually. Well, this time, not only was I not getting the job, but I wasn't even getting an interview, and I didn't understand why. And so at some point, I realized that every job I looked for, and I forgot to tell you this part, it was in want ads, because this was before the internet, y'all, okay? So this was not an easy task. But yet, every job needed a MSW. I'm like, what the heck is that? So finally I get an interview. I get in that room, I sit at the desk, I look up behind my interviewee and I see a plaque and it says Masters of Social Work degree. That's what that is. And so I realized that in order for me to go after this new space that God had called me into, I would call it the expansion of my territory, I was gonna have to go get that MSW. And so that's exactly what I did. I went and got a Masters of Social Work degree. And as I sat in my classes, I began to realize how my gift had perfectly aligned me to be in that place at that time, in that class, learning how to take those tools to advance my gift.